One.
Aloha and good morning. Welcome to the Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. We have a very interesting agenda this morning. There are some housekeeping announcements that I wanted to make. This meeting, including audio and video of remote participants, is being streamed live on YouTube. You'll find the links to viewing options for all Senate meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website, www.capital.hawaii.gov. The agenda that's being live streamed from this committee this morning is our 9:30 a.m. agenda. And why am I getting feedback? Okay. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to some major technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business tomorrow morning at 9:30 in conference room 229, and we'll post a public notice on the legislature's website. For those of you who are participating remotely, all testifier audio will be muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify. We ask you to be brief. We've not set an artificial limit, but if you go too long, Chair will cut you off. And because we have your written testimony, if it's lengthy testimony, make your points and summarize. Know that we have all read your testimony. If we have others that are not either on the Zoom call or obviously nobody's in the room with us, we'll be reading a list of people who submitted written testimony for each measure. And we do apologize if our closed captioning doesn't accurately transcribe names. We have some very unique spellings of names in Hawaii, and sometimes those don't get captured by the folks that are doing the closed captioning. If you're interested in reviewing any of the written testimony, please go to the legislature's website, www.capital.hawaii.gov, and you'll find a link on the status page for all of the measures. If there are some temporary glitches while you on Zoom are providing testimony, we may have to go on to the next person until you get your technical difficulties worked out. But know that we have your testimony and we have read it, so it is posted and available for the public to see. So, members, with those brief announcements, let us proceed. The first item on our agenda this morning is Senate Bill 1149. This is relating to Dietitians Licensure Special Fund. It authorizes the establishment of a ceiling for the fund through the state budgeting process to meet expanding program needs and diminish dependence on the general fund. This is a governor's package bill, and I believe our only testifier is the director of the Department of Health, Dr. Elizabeth Char. Dr. Char, are you on Zoom with us today? I don't see her. At any rate, she did submit testimony. She says that the ceiling increase will lessen the dependence on our general funds because we're removing the spending ceiling in the statute and allowing the ceiling to be established through the budget process. The department has planned and budgeted $35,000 to be used in FY 2022 for the licensure program activities, including salary costs for the department's nutritionist surveyor position, travel costs to provide dietetic education and guidance to residential care home licensees on Oahu and the neighbor islands. And there are some salary costs. As I said, this is a governor's package bill, and Chair believes that it is a program that needs to continue. So let's move forward. Is there somebody on the line that wanted to speak? If not, let's move forward to Senate Bill 1201. This is relating to the general excise tax licenses, requires any license issued under sections 237-9 HRS to be renewed biannually, permits the department to charge a fee for biannual renewals, and permits the department to require biannual renewals be applied for electronically. This is also a governor's package bill. Do we have the director of the Department of Taxation on the line or his representative?
Yes, Chair. Jonathan White on behalf of the director.
Very good. Would you like to
I'd like to
provide your
testify
testimony?
briefly.
Please
Oh.
provide your testimony.
I'm sorry, Chair. I didn't hear you.
Please provide your testimony.
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair and Vice Chair members. The director apologizes for not being here for this admin bill. We do support this bill. This bill would change the procedure for general excise tax licenses. It would change the license from a lifetime license to a license that has to be renewed every 2 years. We believe this would help us remove some of the old, or keep us from accruing some of the old general excise tax licenses that are not active anymore, and would be an improvement over the current process where we don't know exactly which licenses are purely defunct or no longer need to be active, and the ones that have just kind of gone into hibernation. So there's a more of a process right now to determine that. This would shorten that and make it, by making it an active requirement to renew. And we think that would also give us the opportunity, or give taxpayers the opportunity or a reason to update their information with better contact information or better business addresses more often with the department. We'll be here for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We also have testimony from the Tax Foundation of Hawaii, Mr. Yamachika. Are you on the line? Members, we have his written testimony. Apparently, he's not able to join us this morning. So any questions for DOTAX?
I have a question.
Yes, Senator Micheluccio. For DOTAX?
Yes, Department of Taxation. So the Tax Foundation of Hawaii did say that there is a mechanism by which this can be set forth, that you could amend it to an administrative ruling rather than a bill, and all you have to do is to provide for automatic revocation after a certain period of time. Would you like to comment on that, please?
It looks like our connection is frozen. IT, can you fix that?
Hi, Senator Baker. I think it's on his end.
Okay,
Okay,
he's
fixed.
unfrozen now. Did you hear the
Okay,
question from Senator Micheluccio?
No, Chair, I didn't. I'm very sorry.
Okay, let me repeat. So in their testimony, the Tax Foundation of Hawaii said that this particular intent could be resolved by an administrative ruling, wherein you could provide for automatic revocation after a certain period of time. So in other words, this bill may not be necessary. So what is your comment on that, please?
We do have some authority under the admin rule to change the procedure, but right now, and we have discussed it to a certain extent, but right now with a lifetime license, if somebody's license goes inactive, meaning they're not filing returns, that can mean a number of things. So we believe that the current process requiring us to give a certain amount of notice is required by the fact that there are lifetime licenses. So we need to give, because the fact that they stop filing returns could mean they're just on hiatus with their business. We need to give, licensees a chance to, see that we're gonna purge their account and say, no, I'm just on hiatus. So I don't think that with the current lifetime license structure of the GET license that we can cut it down too much. Cut it down to where we can just say after 6 months of not filing monthly returns, we just cut you off, or 2 years or whatever. Whereas if we change it to this, like this bill, to a 2-year thing, that would be them, they would have a positive requirement to renew. So missing that would be better evidence than that the license should be purged or should be deactivated. It would be better evidence than currently than just stopping filing. So I think with the lifetime license, it's harder to cut down on the onerousness of our procedures under the admin rule, because that needs to be there in case taxpayers have just stopped filing because their business is on hiatus. And they might want to keep their license and let us have to give us the information we need to leave it open.
Have you explored or done any pro forma as to how much revenues can be generated by the fact that they will be renewing their licenses biennially?
No, I don't have the data on that. I don't know. I'm sure that we've done one. I don't have it in front of me.
But there'll be additional revenues?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Chair?
Let me just note one other thing that may not have been noticed. This allows for electronic
Filing.
renewals, and that's going to be a big boost to people that have to do a license as well as that. Senator Riviere, did you have a question?
I do, thank you. Thank you for tax. How many GET licenses do we have today?
I'm sorry, Senator, I don't know exactly. I know that it's in the hundreds of thousands, and when we were
And what is
doing the tax.
Thank you.
I'm
And
sorry,
what
go
is the
ahead.
percentage of those that you deem, the department deems to be dormant?
I don't have hard data on that. I think that when we were doing the tax system modernization, we found that a lot of the licenses hadn't had returns filed for months or years.
That's right.
That's what led to us.
We have the $70 million that we spent for tax modernization, and I know now with my GET license, I get reminders from your department all the time, file this, file that, you need to do this. So what's preventing the department from using that automation to ping people and say, we've noticed that you're dormant, please reaffirm, or else, in the next year or next several months, we will deactivate your license. What's to keep the department from creating that policy?
That's a good idea. I think if we worked into the admin rules, that kind of notice. We're still left with the issue that I mentioned in the answer to the previous question, that it is a lifetime license with a $20 fee. So given that, whatever the process is under that lifetime license, we will have to have, a notice process like, posted online or in the paper or something like that.
Yeah, but it's all automated. So for people like me who pay every month or every quarterly, it just seems unreasonable that we're active, we're paying the taxes, we're paying penalties if we're a minute late. It just seems really onerous that there would be this new thing every 2 years, got to throw some more money and just say, hey, I'm still here. Have you guys thought about making the term longer, maybe every 5 years or every 10 years if inactive? And I still don't understand why you can't have it automated. But what about a longer period for renewal? What would happen if it was 5 years instead of 2?
Well, I think that that would address some of your concerns for sure. I don't know exactly what went into the determination of the 2-year term. I can't speak for the department on this specifically, but I think they would be open to discussion of a longer term, a 5-year term. That would make it, less onerous on the taxpayers for sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Senator San Buenaventura.
Hi, so I'm looking at the Tax Foundation's testimony. Basically, they quoted Chair Suki at the time in '89, saying that instead of annually, you folks wanted a one-time, it was a DOE tax, it was at that time the governor's package, right?
Yes.
You folks wanted to have, at that time, a one-time fee to remove the administrative expense of doing it annually. So it implies that there was an expense associated with doing the annual renewals. So what is the expense in doing the biannual renewals? Have you guys figured that out? I mean, because it's not just making money, it's, you guys have to spend money for the administrative cost, right?
Yeah, there'll be an administrative burden to this additional requirement, for sure. I don't know the amount of money that would come in. I don't know the amount of money that we've estimated to, to make, to do it, to execute this policy. But it would obviously be, somewhere around or less than half of the annual, because it would only be every other year. And then if it was 5 years, it would be even less. And I think that the other thing that may have changed since the 1989 change to the current system is that a lot more can be done electronically. And I think sending out paper notices to every licensee, as was apparently being done according to our testimony in 1989, there might be less requirement of that. A lot of taxpayers, like the taxpayers that Senator Revere was mentioning, they probably won't have to be sent a paper, reminder. They're active taxpayers are just going to do it.
Basically, then you don't expect much of an administrative cost, because basically you're speculating, right? Because you don't know, but you don't expect much because of the electronic ability, right? Is that what you're saying? So this is
yes,
basically
we don't expect it to be.
I'm sorry to interrupt, sorry.
Oh, no, sorry, we don't expect it to be on the scale as it was in 1989.
Okay. So where does the money go? Because it sounds more like this is a revenue-generating bill rather than to offset any administrative expense.
That's a good question. I haven't thought of that. The current GET revenue, the current GET license revenue, I believe, goes into the general fund.
Okay, so do you mind having a friendly amendment that the fee then goes to the general fund?
No, that's where it goes.
It goes anyway?
That's where it goes.
I think it already would.
Okay. Sorry, I've been corrected by the chair that if we don't put in the amendment, it automatically goes to the general fund anyway. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Members, any other questions?
No.
If not, let's move forward to Senate Bill 1094 relating to securities. This mandates reporting of suspected financial exploitation of elders and vulnerable adults in relation to securities, provides immunity for good faith reporting, and authorizes the delay of disbursements and transactions. Ty Nohara from DCCA, Commissioner of
Good morning,
Securities.
Chair.
Good morning.
We'll stand on our written testimony and be available for any questions.
Okay. Kathy Betts, Director of DHS.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. Joseph Campos, Deputy Director for Department of Human Affairs. We stand on our testimony submitted. Thank you.
Okay. OIP, Cheryl Kakazu Park, our representative. Unmute, hello.
Oh, is this, did you say ARP? I'm sorry.
No, I said OIP, Cheryl Kakazu Park. All right, she's not on the call. Maui Police Department, in support. AARP.
Good morning, Chair Baker. This is Audrey Suganakagawa, Advocacy Director for ARP Hawaii. We stand strongly in support of this bill. Financial exploitation is one of the fastest growing crimes that's committed against the adult into the form of adult abuse. And we know that about older Americans lose about over $3 billion a year due to financial exploitation. And we know that this is an underreported amount, so the amount is probably greater than that. And we also know that by research that about the average amount of loss is about $120,000 So, this bill is very important that we have all the financial representatives try to help safeguard our kupuna. They're very susceptible. Many of them are isolated, socially isolated. Some suffer from health issues and some have cognitive abilities. So they're very easily be a victim of this type of exploitation. So thank you very much for allowing us to testify in support of this bill.
Okay, thank you. Cynthia Takanaka, NIFA, Hawaii. Unmute, Cynthia.
We'll stand on our written testimony in support of the measure. Our members and people on my side of the industry are also responsible in reporting financial abuse of elders. So yes, we are in strong support. Mahalo.
Thank you, Cynthia. We have testimony and support from LPL Financial. Anybody on the call? Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association, testimony and support. Security Industry Association of Hawaii, testimony and support. Hawaii Credit Union League, testimony and support. All supportive testimony. Members, any questions? If not, let's move forward to Senate Bill 1105. This measure relates to the Mortgage Loan Recovery Fund. I believe this is an admin bill. Ms. Ikeda, are you on the phone? Iris?
Yes, thank you, Chair Baker and members of the committee. So we are supporting this bill. We have learned through one of our successful cases that we should be able to streamline this process so that aggrieved consumers can get their funds more quickly. So we are in support of this measure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Iris is our only testifier. Any questions for her? If not, let's go forward to Senate Bill 1135. This is relating to rental discrimination. Creates a new chapter on source of income discrimination in rental transactions, adds definitions and enforcement remedies by direct civil action. We have DHS, Kathy Betts on the line, on the Zoom call, or a representative from DHS.
Yes, good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, Joseph Campos, Deputy Director of Department of Human Services. We stand on our written testimony and support. Thank you.
Okay. We also have on Zoom this morning, Mr. William Hoshijo, Hawaii Civil Rights Commission, rather.
Oh, thank you. Morning, Chair and members. You have a written testimony in support. I would like to call your attention to the testimony on page 2, where we note that Senate Bill 1135 is substantively similar to Senate Bill 206, which this committee heard earlier. In almost every respect, it provides the same protections. However, there is one substantive difference between this bill and those two bills, and that's that this bill does not provide protection against discriminatory steering. So with that, we'll stand on a written testimony.
So, Mr. Hoshiju, are you saying that we don't need this bill, or we only need a portion of the bill?
Well, actually, in almost every respect, this bill is shorter, simpler, and clearer, and accomplishes the same thing as Senate Bill 206. So
Okay.
I think in that respect, it's preferable.
Okay.
But there is that one part that's missing from this bill that was included in Senate Bill 206, and so we have some suggested language that could cure that.
Okay. All right, we'll take a look at that. Thank you for joining us. Members, before I go to just the ones that have submitted written testimony, any questions for Mr. Hoshijo or DHS? If not, let's go forward. Thank you so much. We have testimony and support from the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, from St. Michael, the Archangel Parish, from the League of Women Voters, from Emua Alliance, from Hawaii Appleseed Center for Law and Economic Justice, from Thaddeus Pham, and in opposition from the Hawaii Association of Realtors. We have late testimony and support from Neighborhood Place of Puna, Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center, Catholic Charities, all of these are in support. And we received testimony in support from Bachelor's of Social Work student from the Myron B. Thompson School of Social Work and Public Health, Yvonne Morin. Members, any questions for any of our testifiers? If not, let's go forward. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We'll go to Senate Bill 1198. This is another Department of Taxation measure. Let's see. This one is also part of the governor's package, allows the Department of Taxation to mandate the electronic filing of partnership and S corporation returns if the taxpayer's gross receipts exceed $250,000 and individual tax returns if the federal adjusted gross income as shown on the taxpayer's Hawai'i return exceeds $100,000. Requires certain tax return preparers to file returns electronically, amends the rules for electronic funds transfer to remove the authorization to require electronic funds transfer or electronic filing if the federal government required that the person to file or pay electronically, and requires electronic funds transfer for tax return preparers and any person subject to mandatory electronic filing. Removes the timeliness requirement from the electronic funds transfer penalty, removes the authority of the department, this would be DOTAX, to charge for certified copies of tax clearances, amends the statute that mandates tax clearances for liquor license holders, clarifies the interest rate for payments made to taxpayers out of the litigated claims fund. So let's see. DOTAX, can you provide your testimony to us?
Yes, Chair. Jonathan White on behalf of the director. The director apologizes for not being here for this admin bill. We do support this bill. The centerpiece of this bill is the electronic filing authorizations. Over the last few years, the legislature has given the department additional authorization to roll out mandatory electronic filing. This furthers that and asks for additional authorization for certain taxpayers. Additionally, there are some requirements for tax return preparers. It kind of goes hand in hand with that, and some other miscellaneous, pure tax administration items. I'll be here for any questions if you have them on the rest of the bill. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jonathan. We also have testimony in support from Tom Yamachika, Tax Foundation of Hawaii. Is Tom or a representative on the call this morning? I don't believe so. Members, any questions for DOTAX?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yes, Senator San Buenaventura.
Hi, and I apologize, but the fee, so this bill repeals the fee for the certified copy of a tax clearance. In the event this bill is passed, is there any portion in the bill that prevents the imposition of a fee for electronic filing? Or is it just assumed that if we pass this, you guys aren't going to charge a fee?
I don't believe there's anything in the statute or in this bill that prohibits, expressly prohibits the department from, charging a fee for electronic filing. We have been trying to have more and more and more electronic filing. So I doubt that, we would do that. But I don't believe there's anything prohibiting us from doing that.
Okay. Do you mind?
Let me just follow up. I believe, at least my understanding is that absent explicit authority to do so, you would either have to go through admin rules in order, so that would give people an opportunity to weigh in on it, or you'd have to come back to the legislature and ask for that. Is that a correct understanding from your perspective?
Yes, Chair. It would be, it would be very difficult for us to just drop a fee into the forms. I believe you're correct.
Okay, and I'm just gonna make a comment. The reason my sub-S forms for Hawaii is done in paper is because there is a fee charge, whereas I do it electronically for the feds. So that's my comment, is if we're gonna mandate this, there shouldn't be a charge.
There shouldn't need to be a charge.
There shouldn't need to be a charge.
Okay.
Okay, okay, thank you. I'll look into that and find out if, that might be a charge by the software provider, is my only guess. But I'll find out what we intend to do with it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. This measure goes on to judiciary, so if you could make sure, assuming the committee passes it forward to judiciary, that you get those questions answered for that committee. Because even though
Yes,
it's
sure.
not Ways and Means, they'll still be interested. Okay. Let's move forward to the last bill on our agenda. This is Senate Bill 397 relating to property crimes. Changes the state of mind required for Section 486M-7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, penalties to intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly. This is a part of the Honolulu Police Department's package. We have Daisha Forrester, Office of the Public Defender, in opposition.
Good morning, Chair Baker and members of the committee. Deputy Public Defender Darcia Forrester on behalf of the Office of the Public Defender. We're going to stand on our written testimony in opposition. I'm available for questions. Thank you very much.
The chair would appreciate if you would provide oral testimony as to why you are opposed to this measure. Since we have people looking and maybe not being able to read your testimony, I think it's important.
Sure. We believe that a knowing state of mind should be the state of mind for this offense. We're concerned about what appears to be the trend to criminalize pawn shops and put the burden, an unrealistic burden on a pawn shop or a broker. You know, I realize that a lot of people don't necessarily use pawn shops, but many of our clients who live in poverty rely on these types of businesses to get quick money to do things like pay rent when the rent is due, or get quick cash where they might sell an item that is their own property. We understand the intent of the law, but we feel that the knowing state of mind should be the state of mind for this offense.
Okay, thank you very much. We have testimony from HPD. Paul Okamoto.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. My name is Paul Okamoto. I'm a captain with the Honolulu Police Department assigned to the Criminal Investigations Division. I'd like to ask for your support for this amendment. Currently, we're having problems enforcing these types of cases, and we're seeing cases being thrown out in court because of this high burden of the state of mind. So we'd like to ask for your support in lowering this state of mind.
Okay, thank you. We have testimony from Jonathan Spiker, Hawaii Pawnbrokers Association. Jonathan, are you on the call this morning in opposition?
Hi, good morning, Chair Baker and committee members. My name is Jonathan Spiker, and I'm the attorney for the Hawaii Pawnbrokers Association. And on behalf of the Hawaii Pawnbrokers Association, we oppose this bill. This bill proposes changing the state of mind required in HRS Section 486M-7 by adding recklessly. To add recklessly to the state of mind would violate the spirit of the law and have a detrimental and unintended consequences. You know, as it currently stands, pawn shops and secondhand dealers are very heavily regulated under HRS Chapter 486M. Each pawnbroker and secondhand dealer must document the name, age, home address, date of birth, height, weight, eye color, hair color, age, and fingerprint and driver's license number or government-issued ID for all customers they deal with. All items purchased must be held at least 30 days and documented, including the weights of the precious metals and gems, as well as the fineness of these items. A price paid must be listed for every item bought. This paperwork is very extensive and often 3 to 4 pages or more in length. Under this bill, if a pawnbroker or secondhand dealer mistakenly or unintentionally forgets to write down information, the pawnbroker or secondhand dealer can be charged with a misdemeanor and face up to a year in prison. If that happens twice, the business owner can lose their pawn shop and secondhand dealer's license. It is not the spirit of the law to charge people with the crime for clerical errors and honest mistakes. This is similar to maybe a police officer forgetting to write down the hair color of a suspect, or a judge misspelling a name on a document and them being prosecuted. Last, this bill also implies that a high volume of stolen property is being sold to pawn shops and secondhand dealers. That is simply not true. Less than 0.1% of stolen property is found at pawn shops and secondhand dealers. This is a verified national and local statistic. And local businesses have been very cooperative with law enforcement and are willing to work with them and come up with solutions and ways to improve. So in closing, this bill will result in business owners and small businesses being charged with misdemeanors and facing a year in prison for clerical errors and mistakes in paperwork. This bill creates a crime when none exists. We believe the Hawaii State Legislature supports small business, and we always support law enforcement and are willing to work with them, but this bill does not benefit law enforcement, pawn shops, or consumers in any way. So for the foregoing reasons, we respectfully ask that you do not pass this bill. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We also note that you submitted testimony on behalf of Hawaii Gold and Silver Company. I'm assuming that it would be mirroring the one that you gave for the Hawaii Pawnbrokers Association?
Actually, if I may have 2 minutes, I'd like to read a statement. It was my father who submitted testimony, but because of his age and medical condition, he's unable to testify or use the computer, so he submitted a short statement. He asked if I could read on his behalf.
Yes, very short.
Yes. My name is John Spiker. I'm the owner of Hawaii Gold and Silver Company, and I've been in business for 40 years. I've been giving testimony in person at the Hawaii State Legislature since 1981. I oppose this bill and ask that you do not pass it for the following reasons. This bill is misleading and inaccurate and implies that large amounts of stolen property are sold to pawn shops and secondhand dealers. We are one of the most heavily regulated industries in the country. Less than 1% of stolen property is found at pawn shops and secondhand dealers. Stolen items are not being sold to pawn shops. They're being sold elsewhere, such as
Thank you,
gambling
Mr.
houses.
Spiker. This is exactly what you read us earlier. We get the message. Thank you. Our next testifier in opposition is Richard Dan, Kama'aina Loan and Cash Gold. Is Mr. Dan on the Zoom? If not, members, we have his testimony in opposition. We also have testimony in opposition from West Maui Gold and Loan Corporation. I don't believe there's anyone else.
Hello?
Who is that?
This is Richard Dan.
All right. You have 2 minutes. Please proceed.
I stand by my testimony. I'm opposed to this legislation.
Thank
If you have
you.
any questions, feel free to ask me.
Thank you. No, we don't have any questions right now. West Maui Gold and Loan Corporation, also testimony in opposition. So it seems the only one that likes this measure is the police department. Members, that brings us to the end of our agenda and the testimony that we have received. Let's take a quick break and we're going to do some decision making.
May I have one question for HPD?
Is HPD still on the Zoom?
No. Okay.
Okay, brief recess. Right. Okay.
Aye, Senator Baker, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, good morning again. We'll call the Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection to order. We have we've had our hearing and we're going into decision-making for purposes of moving some of these measures forward to their final committee for their consideration. The first item is Senate Bill 1149 relating to dietitian licensure special fund. This measure goes on to Ways and Means. Chair recommends that we pass it with amendments to provide some clarity that we're removing the cap on the special fund rather than establishing a ceiling for the special fund. There's a very important distinction there. So we're removing the cap, not establishing a ceiling. Any questions or comments? If not, recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
For Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection relating to SB 1149, Chair recommends passing with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair Chang?
Aye.
Senator Misalucha votes aye. Senator Nishihara?
Aye.
Senator Riviere?
Aye.
Senator San Buenaventura?
Aye.
Senator Favela?
Aye.
Your recommendation's adopted. Chair.
Thank you. The next item is Senate Bill 1201 relating to general excise tax licenses. This goes on to Ways and Means as well. The chair recommends that we pass with technical, non-substantive amendments for clarity and consistency and amend Section 2 to clarify the application for renewal. Any questions or comments? The recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments.
Senate Bill 1201 the chair votes aye. Vice Chair Chang?
Aye.
Senator Misalucha votes aye. Senator Nishihara?
Aye.
Senator Riviere?
No.
Senator San Buenaventura?
Gonna go with reservations.
Senator Favela?
Reservation.
Your recommendation is adopted, Chair.
Thank you. The next item is Senate Bill 1094 related to securities. This measure is also governor's package, goes on to JDC, mandates reporting of suspected financial exploitation of elders and vulnerable adults in relation to securities, and provides some immunity for good faith reporting and authorizes the delay of disbursements and transactions. The recommendation of the chair is to pass unamended. Chair votes aye.
For SB 1094, Chair recommends to pass as is. Are there any reservations? Any nays? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Senate Bill 1105 relating to the Mortgage Loan Recovery Fund. This is also governor's package and goes on to the Committee on Judiciary. Chair recommends that we pass with amendments and provide that the bill is effective on 7/1/2021. The current measure says upon approval. And I think for a measure like this, we need to have a specific date. So the recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Related to Senate Bill 1105, Chair recommends to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Are there any reservations or nays? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Senate Bill 1135 relating to rental discrimination. This measure is also governor's package and goes on to the Committee on Judiciary. Chair recommends that we pass with technical, non-substantive amendments for purposes of clarity and consistency, and Chair votes aye.
For SB 1135, Chair votes aye or passing this bill with technical amendments, unsubstantive amendments, and vote Chair's aye. Vice Chair Chang?
Aye.
Senator Misalucha votes aye. Senator Nishihara?
Aye.
Senator Riviere?
Aye.
Senator San Buenaventura?
Aye.
Senator Favela?
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. The next measure is Senate Bill 1198. This also is governor's package and goes on to the Committee on Judiciary relating to tax administration. There was no opposition, some comments that can be checked when it gets to judiciary. Chair recommends we pass with technical, non-substantive amendments for purposes of clarity and consistency. Chair votes aye.
For SB 1198, Chair's recommendation is to pass with technical unsubstantive amendments. Are there any reservations? Any nays? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. The last item on our agenda this morning is Senate Bill 397 relating to property crimes. This goes on to the Judiciary Committee, and the recommendation is to pass with amendments to defect the date 7/1/2050 and provide a sunset date, so the measure would have to be revisited in 3 years. Recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
For SB 397, the Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair Chang?
He said aye.
Senator Misalucha votes yes. Senator Nishihara?
Aye.
Senator Riviere?
Aye.
Senator San Buenaventura?
Reservations.
Senator Favela?
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you, members. I believe that brings us to the end of this agenda, and we have a 10:30, so we have 5 minutes. So we'll conclude this hearing, and thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We just concluded our CPN hearing, and now we are convening the Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection and the Committee on Public Safety, Intergovernmental and Military Affairs. I will note for the record that this is being live streamed. You can find it on the Capitol website. All of the measures and the testimony are on our website, which is www.capitol.hawaii.gov. And you can find copies of the testimony, the measures, and there are, on our YouTube channel, you can find previous sessions of our committee as well as the legislature. And for those of you who are not able to be here in the Capitol, we invite you to join us there. We have one item on our joint agenda this morning. It is Senate Bill 1101 relating to hurricane preparedness. This has jointly been referred to CPN and PSM and then goes on to Ways and Means. Establishes the Safe Home Program to provide matching and non-matching grants for the installation of wind-resistive devices to single-family, owner-occupied residential property owners under certain circumstances. Creates one temporary position within the Insurance Division of the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs to implement and administer the Safe Home Program. And let's see. We have on Zoom with us the Insurance Commissioner, Colin Hayashida, DCCA. Colin, are you there? I see you. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Chair Baker, Chair Nishihara, and members of the committee. You have our written comments in support of this administration bill. The department also recognizes that this is very difficult economic times. So even if the legislature cannot appropriate funds for this program, we ask that the legislature still pass the framework for this bill so the insurance division can continue to get this program up and running and ready should we receive funds for the program. And at the same time, that wouldn't preclude us from also seeking grant money and receiving grant money to be used for the program. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Colin. That's good information, and we'll make sure that works its way into the committee report should the committee pass this forward. Our next person on Zoom is Luke Myers, Hawaii Emergency Management Agency. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Baker. My name is Luke Myers. I'm the administrator of the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency. IEMA stands in support of Senate Bill 1101, and we are available for discussion as needs. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. We also have testimony on Zoom from Gwen Yamamoto Lau, Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority. Good morning.
Good morning, chairs. Good morning, chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committee. The authority stands on its written testimony in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. We have testimony in support from Scott Glenn, Hawaii State Energy Office. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Chair Baker, Chair Nishihara, Vice Chair English, and Vice Chair Chang, members of the committees. Yes, we do support this bill, and would just like to note that Hawaii's 100% renewable portfolio standard currently calls for all residential routes in Hawaii to host PV sometime between now and 2045. And this measure would go a long way towards enhancing building structural integrity to support PV, as well as enhancing energy resilience in all of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. We have testimony providing comments from the State Procurement Office. Is our acting administrator on the call? I don't believe so. We also have testimony and support from the City and County of Honolulu Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency. Testimony and support from the Hawaii Insurers Council. Testimony and support from Dennis Wang and from Darren Okimoto. Members, any questions for any of our testifiers who were on Zoom? If not?
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry. Real fast.
Senator San Buenaventura.
Okay, thank you. So,
who direct your question to whom?
The director of the energy director. Isn't he the one on the
Hawaii Energy Management Agency, is that who you want to speak to, or
okay,
Scott Glenn? Scott Glenn is Hawaii State Energy Office.
Hawaii State Energy Office.
Okay.
Sorry. Hawaii State Energy Office, Scott Glenn, are you there? I just want to know how soon you folks would be able to implement this, and who's going to do the administrative rules to implement and start sending out grants?
They have to get money first.
Might be better suited for the insurance commissioner. This is their program, and we're offering support to, because this also would achieve energy goals of, I believe, Insurance Commissioner Hayashida would be the one developing implementation administrative rules for this program.
Oh, insurance.
Colin
Hayashida.
Mr. Hayashida, Colin, are you still there?
Yes, yes.
Did you hear the question that Senator San Buenaventura posed to the Energy Office? Can you respond?
Okay, can you repeat the question just so I make sure I answer it correctly?
So assuming we get, because this is an administrative bill, assuming it passes and monies from the hurricane fund is which agency is gonna implement and do the administrative rules to implement this?
DCCA is.
DCCA Insurance Division.
Okay, and how soon do you think you guys can get it up and running?
You know, this is a very extensive program,
Yeah.
so I think it would take a few months to a year to get everything lined up and for us to be comfortable with a situation where we could easily implement that. We previously had a grant mitigation program in the past. We didn't really put a lot of effort into that, I think, and didn't market it very well. So it eventually was, I believe, repealed, but we're seeing more of these types of programs coming up with different states, and in fact, this particular program is modeled after South Carolina, which actually has its own office of mitigation.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Colin. Any other questions on this measure? Senator Nishihara, any questions? Okay, let's take a brief recess. We're going to go into decision making. Room to our real committee room. IT, can you help us?
Hi, Senator Baker.
Okay, we will reconvene the joint committees for purposes of decision-making for the Committee on Commerce, Consumer, and Consumer Protection. Senate Bill 1101 relating to hurricane preparedness, passed with amendments. Chair votes aye.
For Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection relating to SB 1101, Chair votes, or passed with amendments. Chair votes aye. Senator Chang.
Aye.
Senator Misalucha votes aye. Senator Nishihara.
Aye.
Senator Riviere.
Aye.
Senator San Buenaventura.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Your recommendation is adopted, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, for Committee on Public Safety and Military Affairs, advance this bill with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye. Vice Chair English?
Yes, for some reason the mute won't come up. Aye.
Aye, okay. Senator Baker?
Aye.
I vote aye. Senator Favela?
Aye.
Unanimous, adopted, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, that brings us to the end of our agenda. CPN has hearings tomorrow. We are adjourned.
All right.